So $1 million net assets outside your home, and you're classified as rich. Now, even then, there's people in that category that don't have the most ideal lifestyle because they suffer the asset rich and cash flow poor. So what we're going to look at here, the whole outcome of what I'm teaching is really about how do you go about getting the lifestyle that you want, and not just saying this is the one method to do it. Because I know you're different to myself, and everyone's different here. So everyone has different methods. So there's a variety of methods. So even though I mentioned before that I don't have a PhD in financial planning, I actually am licensed in Australia to give general advice in the share market and shares and derivatives. And I'll just quickly show you why, before I forget, just a legal disclaimer. Which basically, as I mentioned before, the outcome of this presentation is not to give you, personally not to give you advice at all, but certainly not to give you specific advice. I don't know your specific personal situation, so this presentation is designed around general advice, but as I said, I'm also predominantly an educator, so I want to teach you how to do it yourself. Now, the question I had before is, why in a rich country are most people not rich? And what I found through my study over the last decade or so is that there's 3 to 4 predominant reasons most people are not rich. The first one, which is very obvious, is that at school, I know for myself that I and most people were not taught a financial education at school. Who would relate to that? Okay, I went to school, I grew up in a town called Glen Innes in northern New South Wales, and 6,000 people in the town, the school there, we were not taught about the property market, about financial education, about investing, etc. We really didn't get that sort of education, despite spending 12 years at school. When I think there was ample time, we weren't taught that education. So I think what we get in this country is a culture of people that go out into the workforce and realizing that money is actually every part of our life, everyday part of our life, that have no real skills around saving, investing, and as a result, we have a society that is fairly fearful around money and fairly ignorant around money. Would that be true? And because they don't have access to that education. Then my earliest mentor said, Jamie, if you want to become rich, then here's what you should do. Find out what most people are doing, and guess what? Do the exact opposite. He said, even if you're not sure what you're doing, at least you'll be heading in the right direction. And that's a simplistic way to look at things, but I've used that a lot. So find out what most people do in a given situation, like right now in the share market, with Black Friday and things like that. What would most people be doing right now? One, I can tell you, selling, panicking, fearful. Uncertain, because it's uncertain times. Why are some people fearful like that? Because they've always relied on their certainty in life to come from external events, never from within. Biggest mistake they've made. Well, let me ask you this question. Where are most people told to go? If you want to learn about money, where does the government, if they tell you where should you go, who should you go and listen to? Your accountant in some cases, okay? And many people rely on their accountants, and there's many good accountants out there. However, accountants are very good at the future or better at the past? Accountants study the past, okay? Now, there's a challenge in that. If you're driving down the freeway at 110 kilometers an hour, looking in the rear vision mirror consistently to see where you want to go, does anyone see some danger in that? Yeah, so be wary of just accountants are great, but great for telling you about the past. The past does not equal your future unless you want it to, okay? And so bank managers, originally back in my parents' generation, grandparents' generation, the bank manager was the person you go to see about money, etc. But using a farming analogy, that's a little bit like having the fox guard the hen house, so to speak. Okay, there's a few issues there, a few conflicts of interest. So most of us are told by the government to go and see a financial advisor, a licensed financial planner, true? So my mentor said, Jamie, if you do what most people do, go and see a licensed financial planner. Sit down and listen to what they have to say and their advice for you. In the back of your mind, you want to be thinking, if they can actually show you how to live your dream life, be financially independent, become a self-made millionaire, if that's what you want to do, then in the back of your mind, just be thinking, then why haven't they done it themselves? Who thinks that's a fair enough question? Okay. Now, I don't want you rushing out there picking on financial planners. Please leave them alone. They're a little bit stressed right now. But I'm going to suggest to you, just think about that. Now, there is some very wealthy financial planners. Yeah, most of them because they've earned a lot of commissions and they've sold their businesses, okay? So, in other words, there's 2 reasons the financial planning industry is not ideal, I think, and hasn't helped a lot of people because, one, the first thing is you can't teach what you don't know. So they haven't done it themselves, they can't teach it. Two, if they taught you how to do it themselves, what would happen to them? Would they no longer be what? You would no longer need them. Is it true? That's what they think anyhow. But effectively, so if they taught you how to do it themselves, where you become your own financial advisor, you become your own financial expert, then they've done themselves out of a job. Who's following what I'm saying here? Okay? So as a result, that industry is, I believe, is to blame why a lot of Australians have missed out on creating the wealth they could have and achieved a fraction of the wealth they could. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Now, not just to beat up on the industry, they are improving. I've been a big critic of the industry for many years, and finally they are starting to improve. Eventually, they'll cotton on and go, you know what? Maybe if we actually took the time to educate our clients, not just try to sell them commission products and funds, etc., and develop a lifelong relationship with them, that then they would have a better business model. And eventually they may figure that out, okay? But even then, if they do, what are they going to teach if they're not actually out there doing it themselves? So you can see the challenge. So there's a niche of people that have been saying, you know what, money, maybe we can master it. And there's been a shift in our culture and many Western cultures in the last probably 10, 15 years. And that shift is to be able to say, you know what, maybe money is important and we need to learn about it. Is it true? So there has been a shift. So more and more people are being what we call do-it-yourself investors, where you're learning how to do it yourself, okay? So that's two big reasons why most people are not rich. The third reason is this. We have a thing in this country called cultural hypnosis. Cultural hypnosis means this, that a lot of people are culturally hypnotized to believe certain things around money that are simply not true. And in other words, think of it this way. If you wanted to drive, say, from Brisbane to Sydney, and I gave you a map of Victoria and you didn't know any different, is that going to help you get to Sydney, yes or no? The wrong map is this. Most Australians believe things about money that are simply not true because they've never consciously adopted their belief systems. They have been conditioned into them from a very young age, from the day they were born, from their parents, from their religion, from the government, from their schools, from the people they associate with. They've taken all these belief systems in around money and they believe it to be true, and that's their map they have. But their map is clearly, is it working? Are they getting to where they want to go financially? The map is wrong, therefore most people are heading in the wrong direction. Those that have become successful and figured it out, all they've done is thrown out the map. Someone said, hey, the map is wrong, get rid of it. And get a proper map. Now, if you had a map showing you from Brisbane to Sydney, who here thinks they could figure out how to get to Sydney? Make sense? It's a hell of a lot easier. And you say, well, I'm even hopeless at reading maps. Doesn't matter. The women in the room. It's all right, even the women. Just joking. Okay. Statistically, men read the maps differently. Okay, we won't go there. So the point is that even if you weren't good at reading maps, your chances of getting to where you want to go are a hell of a lot easier. And that's my point I want to highlight. So what I mean by cultural hypnosis is this, and it's happened to us all. People have certain belief systems around money. For instance, if it sounds too good to be true, probably is. Is that a cultural belief system in this country? Is it necessarily true? No, because I used to believe that. When I made over $1 million in a very short period of time through real estate, if I believed everything sounded too good to be true if someone said, you're going to buy these properties and they're going to be worth this in the space of 3 or 4 years, oh, it sounds too good to be true, I'm not going to buy it. I wouldn't have took action with it. So I had to change my belief system and go, you know, something sounds too good to be true, possibly is, but I'm going to check out the facts so I do not miss a good opportunity. Is that far more intelligent, yes or no? Now, that's a simple shift. That's a simple change in the map. Very different. The other belief system people have, high return must equal high what? Risk. Jot this down. Okay? Bullshit. Okay? That is a belief system. Now, what's true, what's not true? Who cares? Here's what's true. Jot it down. The truth is in the results.